Hey guys, Mr. Catlin back here with you looking at your homework. Last lesson, lesson number 4. And this first problem is a review problem from something that we've done a while back. We're looking for proportional relationships. So that sets up essentially as y equals some number k times x. So there's always going to be a multiplication or possibly a division happening. But if that division's happening, we don't want any variables in the denominator. Okay, so we're looking for just a multiplication of a number times a letter to equal another letter. And we have that happening here. They're multiplying 1/8 times z, so that's just multiplication. That one is good. On the second one there, b, area of the square, is they're using an exponent. That's a big no-no. Remember, that's multiplying a number by itself. That's not going to work for us. It goes back a ways. 3 times s equals p. That sets up in the format that we like. 3 times something equals the other side. And then the last one we don't like because we're dividing by a variable. That's a big no-no. We can't have that denominator a letter, because if it's 0, then all crazy is going to break loose mathematically. Can't have that letter on the bottom. If it was w divided by 60, I would have picked it. But it's the other way around. It doesn't work that way. All right, number 2. Claire has $54 in her bank account. A store credits her account with a $10 refund. How much money does she have in the bank? So she's got 54, and they credit her account. That's like adding $10 to her account, so she ends up with 64. B, May owes the bank $60. That would look like this using an integer. She gets $85 for her birthday. So when she deposits that, that's like adding 85 into her account. So this is the situation. How much is she left with? Well, since the signs are different, we can find the answer to this by subtracting these two numbers. So doing 85 minus 60 is what we want to do. And that turns out to be 25. And we notice that since she deposited more than she owed, her answer is not negative 25. It's positive because she has more money in the bank now than owing money. C, let's look at C. It says Tyler is overdrawn at the bank by $180. That looks like this. He's in the negatives. His brother has $70 more than him. So that would be $70 more than what he's got. How much does his brother have? Well, we just got to find out what that sum is. And I know it says plus and you want to add and get 250, but that's wrong. The signs are different. You're in the negatives. You're going to go up 70. So you really need to find out what their difference is to find out where he lands with the amount of money. So whenever we subtract these two numbers, you get 110. 110. So how much money does Tyler's brother have? Well, he doesn't really have any money. He has $110 that he owes, because if he only got $70 more than his brother and his brother owes 180, then he also owes money, just not as much. He just owes less. So he has negative $110 in his account, and that's what his account shows. These brothers are not very good at taking care of their money. Andre has $37 in his account. So that would look like this. It's positive. He has that money. He writes a check, though, for 87. Big no-no. So he writes a check that has a negative amount of money because it's taking away, and he's going to end up in the negative some form or fashion. And since the signs are different here, one's negative and one's positive, that means we need to find their difference to find out how far he's going below 0. So the 7s cancel there. 8 and 3 make 5. So we can see clearly that he doesn't have $50. He's not going to write a check and magically get more money, right? He's going to owe $50 with that negative there. So he has a $50 overage fee, or not fee, but $50 over his account balance. All right, let's look at number 3. The table shows 5 transactions and the resulting account balance in a bank account, except some numbers are missing, and our job is to fill in the numbers. So we did some of these examples. We're going to do some of these examples in class where we have a transaction and then what the account balance is. So the transaction is positive for deposits, putting money into the bank, negative for takeaways. Okay, so to explain this first part, this would be $200 put into the bank, which is why we have $200 to start. Negative 147 shows that we took out $147. And after our borrowing and changing this to 10 and 9, we can see why $53 are remaining in your account balance after that transaction. It's just a takeaway. Okay. And so the next part, we're just kind of figuring out what's left over. So if I've got 53 in my bank account and then I do a transaction for 90 positive, so it is a deposit. I should be doing 90 plus 53 to find out that I've got $153 or $143 in my accounts. And then I go and do a big boo-boo and I write a check for $229. Notice it's negative. So that would be like doing this math. I've got this much money and then I'm writing a check that's going to deduct $229 from my accounts. I'm going to be in the negatives. That's clear. And I'm in the negatives by how much? Well, it's going to be these two numbers differences because their signs are different. So I got to do 229 minus 143. And the 9 minus 3 is nice and good, but I got to borrow from the 2 to get this up to 12 so I can subtract and get 8. So I've got $86 that I owe after that transaction. Right? I am in the whole $86. So this last one is like, okay, well, you're in the whole $86. What do you need to do to get back to even? Well, I would need to deposit that number's additive inverse. What can I add, right, to this to get 0 again in my account balance? And that would be a positive 86. It would just counterbalance how much I owed in the first place. And let's knock out the rest of this at the bottom. The signs are different, so we need to subtract 5 3/4 minus 1/4 is equal to 3 minus 1 is 2/4, and 5 minus nothing is 5. So this would be the same as 5 1/2. And since I had more than I took away, I'm going to stay positive with that bad boy. All right, and moving on to number 2 there. The signs are different. One's negative and one's positive. I'm adding here. So I need to subtract them. 2/3 is greater than 1/6. So I really just need to do 2/3 minus 1/6. The issue is thirds and sixes are not very compatible. So I need to get a common denominator of 6 because those are my GCFs. And 3 can be doubled to make 6. So I will double the 2 to make a 4. And really, I'm just doing 4 6 minus 1 6, which is 3 6. And since negative 2/3 has greater absolute value than 1 6, the negatives actually won this battle here. And I am still in the negatives by negative 3 6 or negative 1/2. And then lastly, we will finish this bad boy off with another edition of improper fractions. They're both negative. They're both on the same team. We actually just need to add 8/5 and 3/4 together, and our answer will just be this much larger negative answer. But 5 and 4 are not compatible. We got to change these to 20s because 20 is 5 and 4's greatest common factor. 5 times 4 is what got me to 20. So I need to do 8 times 4 to get to 32. And I multiply 4 times 5 to get to 20. So I need to do 3 times 5 to make that 15. And 32 plus 15 is 47. So my answer is 47/20. But yeah, that's right, negative 47/20, which is the same as negative 2 and 7/20. Or for those of you doing decimals, that would be negative 2.35. That would be fine. Any of those are actually acceptable for me. And that is your homework for the week. You're welcome. I'll see you guys back in class.